Welcome viewers once again to this NPTEL course on education leadership, and in the last class we are discussing about educational research and pedagogy, how these two components are interrelated to each other, and we have already discussed about the doctoral research program, its benefits, its factors, contributing factors, all these things. Now, today we will discuss about one such important theory in research, that is the critical pedagogy theory, and how it is related to research, or how can we take the benefit of this critical pedagogy theory for our research purpose. So, critical pedagogy actually is a theoretical framework, it is a kind of paradigm, so which advocates for certain parameters for measuring the effectiveness. So, critical pedagogy was first described by Paulo Freire 1970, heavily endorses the students' ability to think critically. So, critical pedagogy is a theoretical framework, it is a paradigm being developed by a group of researchers, and they primarily advocate or they want that the students should enhance the ability to think critically. Like whatever we are learning, whatever being the student, whatever we are learning, the course content, the curriculum, the pedagogical thing we go through, we should not blindly accept it as it is. So, we should think critically. So, hence they advocate for, they suggest for, they promotes for the students should think critically, whatever they read, they go through, they learn, they must think all these things in a critical way, evaluate these in a critical way about their education situation, the whole education situation in which context they are learning, that allows them, which allows them to recognize the connections between their individual problem and experiences and the social context in which they are embedded. Like suppose I am learning a program on sociology, like for example sociology or education or psychology or anthropology. Suppose I am going through a course, I am doing it postgraduate diploma in these subjects, any of these subjects. Now, so critical pedagogy theory advocates that being a student of sociology, being a student of anthropology, I must evaluate, I must think critically, like in which situation I am learning these things, and how what is the relationship, what is the connection between these studies, courses of studies, these topics, these program and my individual problems. Like for to what extent my course, my studies, my programs is going to help me in resolving my individual problem, my experiences, my subjective experiences, and the social context in which I am embedded, the social context and the situation in which I am living. So, so I must critically evaluate all these factors. That means, whatever I am learning, I am studying, whether it is benefiting me, helping me in identifying, in resolving my individual problems, or in resolving some of the social issues, some of the social conflicts, dilemmas, etc. How it is improving my experiences and and how it interacts with my social context in which I am embedded. So, this is the primary focus of critical pedagogy theory. Thus, every student, does not matter whatever they learn, they must start thinking critically, evaluating the course content and how it is related to their social context, their individual experiences and the problems, and how to resolve the issues, conflicts and the problems through the help of these subjects or the domain knowledge. So, this has further been developed by Henry Giroux 1988. So, it has further been established by other authors, and it promotes the relationship between teaching and learning. So, you know, on the basis of that critical thinking, now we need to establish the relationship between whatever we are teaching, whatever we are learning. There must be proper linkage, proper bridge, proper relationship between teaching and learning, because it is a continuous process of. So, it is a continuous process of teaching and learning. It is not just one way or just two way, but or it is just in moving in the one direction only, but it is a continuous process of unlearning. Sometimes we need to unlearn certain things, we need to learn certain things, learn certain new things. Sometimes we need to relearn the things, sometimes we need to reflect upon the things, sometimes we need to evaluate the things, critically evaluate the things. So, hence whatever the learning process, it is a continuous process, is a developmental process where very often we are engaged in different kinds of learning mechanisms, like unlearning certain things, relearning certain things, learning certain things, then again reflecting upon certain things, critically evaluating certain things, then modifying it or improving certain things. So, this is the critical pedagogy theory promotes continuous modification of learning behavior, continuous modification of the linkage between teaching and learning, improvement in the teaching and learning process, and the students should be empowered. The students should be empowered with such experiences where he not only he can learn independently as a self learner, independent learner, but he has developed that critical thinking ability to evaluate the whole situation and to find out to what extent his studies, his academics has helped him in resolving his problems, individual problems, social problems, etc. That means, it must have direct social benefit, it must have the benefit to improve the quality of life or the quality of life or the human society, for the development of the society. Hence, for assessing the effectiveness of teaching learning situation. So, in whichever context we teach, in whichever context we learn, maybe be at primary level, secondary level, higher level, technical level, vocational level, whatever may be the level, if you want to really measure its effectiveness, assess and evaluate its effectiveness, so they have given certain parameters. So, the critical pedagogy theory promotes thus, these are the parameters, they have identified 7 parameters on the basis of which we can assess and evaluate the effectiveness of any program, any pedagogical program, any curriculum program design, any content, any delivery mode, anything, if it is related to teaching learning situation, even though it is a new software, even though it is a virtual lab, even though it is a it is a technology tool, whatever, we can evaluate its efficacy and effectiveness through these parameters. So, they have clearly identified these 7 parameters. First is that instructional design and delivery. In that particular teaching learning context, how the instruction, how the curriculum has been designed to provide the instructional objectives, how it has been designed, how these instructional objectives are being delivered through teaching, through content and the teaching learning transactions, etc. That is the first parameter. Second is that students learning outcomes. So, as the course has been designed, it has set some of the instructional objectives and expected learning outcomes. Now, at the end of the course, to what extent the students have learned. So, what is the actual students learning outcome? Then again, third is the assessment. What are the assessment modes? What are the evaluation techniques? What are the tools we have used to measure the learning outcomes? So, can these tools are reliable and valid tools to actually measure the learning outcomes in terms of behavior, in terms of actions, in terms of action verbs, etc. So, assessment modes and evaluation are also important. Then students empowerment. At the end of the course, to what extent the students have been empowered in terms of knowledge, empowered in terms of skills, and empowered in terms of the positive attitude, then independent learning ability, and reflective thinking, critical thinking, creative thinking, all kinds of the skills and competencies. So, to what extent they have been empowered to be a self learner, independent learner with all these higher order thinking skills or the pedagogical skills like the critical thinking, creative thinking, etc. So, next is that yes, critical thinking is equally important, because they advocate that the students need to critically evaluate the whole situation. So, critical thinking is a must. Then the social presence. As you know, it is a the critical pedagogy theory or the 21st century learning pedagogy, it advocates for collaborative learning in the community, learning community, creating the learning community, sharing the knowledge. So, because when knowledge is being shared, knowledge is being co-created by the community of learners, its usability, its volume, its quantity, its quality is immense. So, what is the social presence? That means, in which social context the teaching learning acts have been have taken place. So, what is the social presence? Whether the student has learned it all alone, or even though he has learned it, that means he has the group, he has learned these in a particular group, maybe that he is engaged in teamwork, project work, this work, etc. And how all these aspects have been properly aligned to each other. Like instructional design, the students outcome, the assessment mode, more students empowerment, his ability, skills and competence, his critical thinking, his social presence like in the being a part of the group or the team learning, collaborative learning ability, how all these aspects, all the 6 aspects have been well integrated either through ICT or different kinds of online or offline e-learning tools, etc. That is alignments. The proper everything has been properly aligned, so that its output, its result, its productivity will be immense. So, these are the 7 parameters they have given for measuring the effectiveness of any of the teaching learning program. So, now the 21st century pedagogy says that it's a pedagogy of deep learning. So, with the with the advent of the ICT, not only ICT, artificial intelligence, all kinds of high level cloud computing and all technical terms, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, internet of things, all these computer languages and emergence of the cognitive science. So, it advocates for a new pedagogies, that is the deep learning. So, these are the authors, they have started that the 21st century pedagogy advocates for the deep learning, as with the enormous or with the massive open online sources of resources, learning resources. So, the new pedagogy require the students to create the new knowledge, and connect it to the world by using the power of digital tools. So, because digital revolution has that means has taken place immensely or massively. So, every day or you can say every day we are coming up with a new digital tool, new ICT, new component, new educational tool. So, with the this digital evolution, so the researchers, the academicians, they say that the new pedagogy now at the moment, new pedagogy requires the students to create the new knowledge and connect it to the whole world by using the power of digital tools. That means the students are not only that means they are not only supposed to create the knowledge, but they must share it with others through these digital tools. So, it is advocating more of sharing the knowledge, not creating, co-creating the knowledge and sharing the knowledge. Similarly, new pedagogy, it involves the creation and the use of new knowledge in the real world. By using these tools, by engaging themselves in a collaborative learning and taking up the very authentic problem, real life problem, how to resolve it, and after resolving the whole problems and issues, now they must share it, with others. Nowadays we are also seeing that, we are also observing that social networking sites, all the social networking sites are actively engaged, involved with all kinds of knowledge sources. So, be it a journal, be it a scientific tool, be it a cognitive tool, or being a LMS or whatever it is, it's quick, it's instantly related to, attached to, connected to all kinds of social networking sites. So, that everybody must know it, should know it, are well aware of all this, what is going on currently, what is the recent phenomenon. So, the mutual discovery, creation and use of knowledge, again new pedagogy advocates for how to strengthen the collaborative learning, cooperative learning, that means mutual learning. When we sit together and we work together, we discover something in the social context, in the group context, in the team context. So, then its usability, its potentiality is immense. So, mutual discovery and creation and use of knowledge. So, let us sit together, let us think together, let us work together, let us find out the solution from the common problem, real life problem together, and share the knowledge with others. So, and it also helps in enable by digital access inside and outside the classroom. So, new pedagogy, it advocates for the deep learning. Deep learning means to take up the issue or real life problem or any issue and go into the depth of that issue and try to find out or create this multiple solutions, and then to share this solution among others, the whole world, whole society, etc. And by using accessibly this digital tools, techniques, etc., both inside the classroom as well as the outside the classroom. So, now as you can see, the new pedagogy advocates for the deep learning. So, first thing is that you discover the content, discover and master the content. So, first you identify the content, discover the content, master the content together. So, it is a always you learn, we learn together, we work together, we discover the things together. So, pedagogical capacity is there in one aspect, and create and use the new knowledge in the world. So, these are the transactions like so through using the technology. So, new pedagogy advocates for learning together, take up a content and go into its depth, discover the content, have the mastery over it, go into the depth of that content, create the knowledge, construct the knowledge, create the knowledge, or rather you can say co-create the knowledge, then you share it with the world, then you share it with the world. So, that is called the deep learning. So, new pedagogy advocates for the deep learning by extensively using technology both inside and outside the classroom and working together. So, as you can see, this is the new pedagogy advocates for. So, new learning partnership with various groups, both the online group, offline group, virtual group, physical group, etc. So, you have to create, we as the learner or learning community, we have to create different kinds of partnership. That is one aspect. Then deep learning task, while identifying the task, it must be a very authentic and real task in terms of solving some of our critical social problems, economical problems, financial problems, whatever. So, it must have the depth and weightage and potentiality of being the relevant and authentic in our society in a present learning context, and use the digital tools and resources. Whatever digital tools are available, the resources are available, you use it. So, what on the one side it is the partnership learning of the learning community, tasks at hand whichever you have selected, co-selected or thing, then by using it try to resolve it, and the outcome will be the immense, and you share this outcome knowledge and solutions and the share this knowledge with the whole world, so that the whole world will be benefited. This is the new pedagogy framework. And so, these authors new pedagogy, the advocates of this new pedagogy, they say that we need to develop certain deep learning skills as well. So, what are the deep learning skills? What is first? It advocates for character education. It advocates for the character education, like being the 21st century learner, being the learner of new pedagogy. So, we must build up the character, like we must develop the quality and character like honesty, self-regulation, perseverance, empathy, self-confidence, well-being, career and the life skills, etc. Like in educational research also, we have already discussed that to be an authentic educational researcher or good educational researcher, we must adhere to some of the principles like ethics, academic integration and the principles, etc. Some of the basic things we need to develop. Similarly, here deep learning also advocates for developing certain skills. Then citizenship behavior, like we should think ourselves as the global citizen. So, global knowledge, cultural sensitivity, development, environmental sustainability. We must focus on whatever we are taking, learning task we are taking up, whatever we are doing. We must have the global framework knowledge or outlook, what is happening, how it is going to affect the whole world. We must develop the cultural sensitivity towards the other ethnic groups, other or diverse groups, then it must be sustainable, environmentally sustainable. Whatever we create, co-create, design, etc., it must have a positive impact on the environment and it should be environmentally sustainable. Then a communication. Similarly, communication, that we need to develop the listening skills, to develop habit of listening to others problems, their opinion, their perspective. So, to be empathetic also we need to develop the listening skills, oral and written communications. Then critical thinking and the problem solving. Similarly, we design and manage the project, solve the critical problems, effective decision making using ICT tools. So, all these activities it involve not only the problem solving skills, but also critical thinking. Critical thinking and creative thinking are the top higher order thinking skills we need to develop. at the higher education. Then collaboration, again it also advocates for teamwork, group work, sharing the knowledge, social networking skills, empathy and working empathy and how to be able to work cooperatively in the diverse workplace. So, collaboration, teamwork is another quality you can say. Then creativity and imagination, that is the economic social entrepreneurship, new ideas, leadership and action. When we are engaging ourselves in any kind of research or entrepreneurship or profession or any kind of startup business, etc. So, we must think twice, like I am starting this business not for my personal benefit or gain or my financial gain, etc., but how it is going to affect my society. In return, what I am going to contribute to my society. So, economic and social entrepreneurship with the new ideas, leadership and action. So, so these are some of the deep learning skills. We need to develop. Then pursuit of deep learning goals enabled by the new pedagogies and accelerated by the technology. So, these are some of the goals, learning goals, like designing of the flipped classroom or MOOC, that is massive open online courses. Then mobile learning, how to use the mobile phones, so how to update the mobile phones in a very smart mode, and how can we use it as a smart learning tool using the various kinds of apps for education. So, these are actually the pursuit of the deep learning goals, which have been enabled by the new pedagogy and accelerated by the technology. Similarly, partnership and transparency in projects operating model. So, partnership in terms of mobilization of the resources, designing, measurement, reflection and expansion, etc., and project operation model, like including the partners, learners and professionals and parents. So, partnership and transparency in project operating model, whatever we have designed, we have created, we have co-created, we have found, it must be very much transparent in its operational mode. So, so these are the, it's not just about for our own benefit, but for its the global benefit, its social benefit. So, these are some of the deep learning skills we need to develop for getting the benefit of the new pedagogy. So, principles of the new pedagogy is fundamentally a shared learning project. So, basic principle of new pedagogy is that it advocates for the shared learning projects. We create, co-create, construct the knowledge, but which should be shared among all. It is not just among any one particular community and particular group. So, it is a shared learning project. So, fundamentally it advocates for shared learning projects with a common goal and success criteria. It not just the goal, that means it is the goal for all, it is the superordinate goal, it is the common goal, it is the higher level goal which will which will be helpful, which will benefit to all the participants, all the students, all the learners, all the people, and success criteria. So, with the common goals and success criteria, where our focus is that everybody should get the success. It is not just for top 10%, or it is not I, it is me or we or etc., but it is for all. So, with common goals and success criteria, seeking the collective capacity cutting across the diverse system. Even though we are working in a diverse workplace, even though we are learning in the diverse classroom situation, but we always need to develop the collective capacity building, that is seeking, always looking for the collective capacity building. That means everybody should be capable of, everybody should learn and develop the competence. So, collective capacity building cutting across all the diverse system. Collaborative feedback, again when we are working in a group, collaborative feedback, reflection and action for the innovation. We always get the collaborative feedback, and we need to reflect upon it, and we need to act upon it for the innovation. Mobilization model to be usable and the expandable. Whatever mobilization model we have developed as a part of the new pedagogy and technology access, it should be usable, expandable and sustainable also. So, sustainable tools, policies and usable knowledge, process and ecosystem. So, in terms of model creation or tool creation, it should be sustainable and the policies should also be like this, like we can reuse it, or any, or it is, you can say it is free for all. So, usable knowledge process and ecosystem. So, that is why you can see all the knowledge which are being co-created by all the academicians, researchers, etc., are being freely uploaded in the YouTube or any portal, so that anybody and everybody can have the access on it. So, this is the philosophy of new pedagogy, to create the knowledge and share the knowledge. So, continuous learning and research. So, continuous engagement in learning and research things for keeping abreast and the knowledge enhancement, that is not only to keep ourselves updated with the current knowledge or the current scenario, but knowledge enhancement, how to improve it. Developing the knowledge base and e-publications. Again, nowadays is the digital age, we are in the digital age. So, developing the knowledge base and also e-publication. It is not just only in terms of, so knowledge to be created, co-created, shared through e-mode, digital mode. Now, the deep learning goals are engage the systems in collective effort to mobilize the deep learning. Deep learning goals are engage the whole system in a collective effort to mobilize the deep learning. That means, it should be the all the deep learning skills to be developed among all the learners in the whole system. So, identify the deep learning work, and we need to identify what are the potential tasks, deep learning tasks, capture and cultivate the new pedagogies that advance the deep learning. So, deep learning, after identifying the deep learning task, we need to capture the technology, we need to capture the resources. So, we need to capture the new pedagogy to advance this deep learning, operationalize, refine and validate the measures for the different line. So, then how to operate it, how to resolve it, how to create the model, how to design it, how to authenticate it, how to get the benefit, refine it, modify it, then how to validate it. So, these are the ultimate goals for the deep learning. So, we need to operationalize it, refine it and validate the measures for the deep learning. So, and ultimately it will be shared with others. Therefore, the conclusion is that we need to identify and share the based work. So, always by developing the deep learning skills, we must identify the deep learning tasks as well, and we must capture, we must exploit the technology tools, and we must adhere to the new pedagogy. So, collective capacity building is the focus. So, we have to develop not just my capacity, his ability or her potentiality, but it's for all. It's for all everybody's capacity building, global partnership goal. It's not about not in my country or that country, etc., but it's the global partnership. That is the global. We are living in the same globe, and global warming, climate change is these are some of the common issues which is relevant for all of us. It's not just me or my country or their country. So, global partnership goals, which are common goals to all citizens, then deepening and accelerating the role across all the education process. So, while making an attempt to go into the depth of that process, the deepening and accelerating the role across all the education process, maybe we are students, we are researcher, we are teacher, we are educator, we are administrator, whatever, at any level, and whatever capacity we are having in that process, in that mechanism, we need to go to the depth. So, deepening and accelerating the role in whichever role we plays, in whichever post, in whichever responsibility we are taking up, we need to go to the root, to the depth, deepening and accelerating role across all the education process. So, here we will just go through another YouTube video right now.
the effects of the, anyone? The Great Depression.
The classroom was centered around me. I told them exactly what to learn, how to learn it, what assignments to do to learn it, and when to learn it, and how to prove to me that they learned it. I don't do that anymore. We changed the place in which content is delivered. Instead of standing in front of a class and delivering, here's how you do this type of problem, here's how this works, I deliver that direct instruction now asynchronously at home through these videos that we make with Camtasia Studio. Times till whole.
Oh, we didn't do that last time.
The last step, they were already whole numbers. We had 1, 1, and 4. Here we don't have a whole number. So here's a few little tricks when you need to multiply by whole numbers.
And the skateboard itself, there's a million components. One circle, from the wheels to the bearings to the hardware, all of that is circular. Now in the deck itself, they've drawn some of the cone here. So if you kind of see them, they got little hexagon type shapes.
Sure. Okay, today's reading strategy is sketch to stretch. So when we're reading and you get that visual in your head, you see a picture in your head, you're just going to draw it right in your notes.
My whole classroom has now shifted, where I'm at the center of the class, working between these differentiated groups, focused on different pieces of application. I can now work between each of these groups that are moving at their own pace. This has created a 90% use of class time spent on application of the content, and 10% of class time is spent on delivery of content, when I can answer questions that have been posted or take any other questions that have come up from applying the content.
Hello algebra students, Coach Duquette here.
Hey guys, we hope you're really excited about what's coming up in algebra this year. It's going to be so much fun. You've got 3 great teachers, one a little bit better than the rest.
Okay guys, it's the beginning of the year, we're ready for an exciting year. We got some news for you, okay?
We're going to flip our last fraction. It becomes 3 over 8. You also remember now, in multiplying fractions, you just multiply straight across. So 9 times 3 is...
So now I have formally finished this chapter on educational research and pedagogy, and how these two components are well integrated and how we are going to use this effectively with the help of technology. So thank you very much.